Welcome to How Preschool Teachers Do It.
This is Alison Kentos. I am an early childhood educator.
And this is Cindy Tarabush. I am an early childhood consultant.
This podcast is for parents and early childhood professionals.
Let our experience and research-based knowledge become your guide. Hello, our preschool peeps.
Hi, peeps.
We are so excited to welcome you and thank you all. It's a big day. While we're recording this, just discovered that we've reached what we've asked you to help us do. We've reached the 100 subscribers on YouTube. Thank you so much. The people who listened to our pleas, and we see those notifications saying that you've subscribed to help us out. We've reached that 100 subscriber benchmark. We are going to go into YouTube, if we haven't already, by the time this episode airs. And we're going to, we may have, we're going to customize our URL. As soon as that is updated, we will let people know on our Facebook page. So you can go to How Preschool Teachers Do It podcast on Facebook. And like our page if you are a Facebooker and you are sort of like, oh, let me find out when they update that URL because I'm a participant and I subscribed when they asked me to. So I made it happen. You all did make it happen.
Yes.
So we thank you so much. And now we're going to have to dig into the inner workings there on the YouTube channel and figure out, did that do it? Do we have the ability to customize the URL?
If you listen to this often, you know that we're not always the most technologically savvy people. So this might take us a day or two, but we will figure it out for you.
10 maybe.
or more. But we'll get there.
We're going to get there. We're going to go in there and we're going to figure it out and we're going to get there. And so what we needed our preschool peeps to do was done. What an awesome bunch of people
you guys
listen to this podcast. Awesome. Not only because when we say, hey, can you go do this? You do it. But awesome because you sometimes give us the ideas for an episode, which you have done for this episode.
Yes.
We were inspired to do this episode by a contact form that we received through our website from a listener who actually is not in the United States, contacted us from a European country. I don't want to give away too much information in case they don't want us to.
But still, you know that we are internationally known. So
don't
let your distance stop you from contacting us. Okay.
Amen to that.
Okay.
This person who, as I said, is not listening to us in the United States, wrote to us with questions having to do with bilingual education because that's what they do overseas.
Yes.
They're providing bilingual education. And so we started to do some research, and Alison and I read an article that Alison is going to share with you. Because frankly, between recording the last episode and this episode, I feel so done. And now it's Alison's turn.
She is
I was on quite a soapbox in the last episode.
Yeah, she was.
Yeah.
All right. So this article is from the Michigan State University. Their Early Childhood Development Center wrote this article called "The Advantages of the Bilingual Brain." It was very short, but very fascinating in my world. Okay. And Cindy's world and all of your worlds too. Okay. So what it says is, and we kind of know some of this stuff already, right? That it's easier and better to teach children at a very young age to be bilingual, especially if you expose them to all of the sounds of the languages. It's much easier for the brain to keep those pathways open. We've learned this before, but this also makes their brain do so many cool, beneficial things that I don't think we knew about before, right? So, or I think we knew some of them, but not all of them.
I knew that it's beneficial in brain development for children to be bilingual, that they develop certain areas of the brain in a deeper way than people who are monolingual or only know one language do and when they're children. But there were things in this article where we were like, no kidding.
No way. No way. So we know that they have a flexible brain. What I didn't realize was that they can detect the switch of languages as early as 6 months old, which I thought was so young, but they can. So those little brains are aware that you are speaking two languages and have the ability to detect that there is a different one being spoken at like 6 months.
Oh, Alison, you froze. I'm going to tell you while you unfreeze yourself. I'm going to tell you what this reminds me
Months
of.
after they are born.
You were frozen. So, but I'm going to
Okay.
tell you what this
Am I
reminds.
unfrozen?
You are now. I'm going to tell you what
Okay.
this reminds me of. It reminds me of when we were talking about race in a prior episode, and we were talking, we shared a graphic that we got permission to share, and it showed that children understand the difference in skin color and the differences in the appearance of people, including skin color, way younger than we thought, and we need to be acknowledging those differences. So it's kind of like that. They understand that you have been switching between two languages for longer than we understood that they understand that. They're very, very young when they understand two languages are being spoken to me here, and they start to switch. And it's really the activity in the brain that people study to know what's being fired in the brain. And what the article points out about that is that children, because they understand this so young, I think this is what it says, because they understand this so young and because they're doing this code switching from the time they're infants, that they are actually more mentally flexible, which is mental. And just to remind people, mental flexibility is the ability to take something you know and apply it somewhere else.
Yeah.
For example, you know this thing in one language and now you know this thing in another language.
But it's still the same thing, right?
Right.
Yeah. I've lost my train of thought there for a minute.
Sorry, that was you froze and I had to jump in.
I froze and it totally froze my brain.
Yeah. So you were talking about the fact that they recognize that there are two languages being spoken when they're infants.
Which is so amazing that it's so much younger than we thought. But like Cindy said, we had this, we talked about this during the race episode that we did a couple months ago too, that they're recognizing these differences so much younger than we ever thought of before. And this brain research that people are doing is just amazing that now we know that, it develops their cognitive muscles in order for them to be cognitively flexible for not just during their childhood, for the rest of their lives. So like if you are an adult who was raised bilingual, you have this cognitive flexibility all the way through your life. So like even like your ability to do things that are sometimes a process, or the ability to drive a car, which is multitasking a lot, is better than a monolingual person would be. It comes more naturally to you.
I heard the most interesting thing about that driving a car analogy and multitasking the other day in a session where I was a learner. They were talking about the concept of multitasking and that sort of switch. And they were saying that you're not, when you're driving, and this relates to this whole bilingual thing, that when you're driving, you're not actually multitasking, you are task switching. So that's why makes sense with this whole being bilingual. You are switching. You can't focus on more than one thing at a time, but you can rapidly task switch. That's what the brain does. It switches. So you're looking, you're moving the steering wheel, you're looking to the right, you're switching tasks. You're not doing them all at once. They just feel like all at once because your brain is able to do it so rapidly. I wonder if people who are bilingual when they're young, who can do this even more efficiently than people like me who were not raised in a bilingual environment, I wonder if they also have a better ability to deal with change, period.
I imagine that's true, right? Because from a very young age, they are used to change. Oh, now you're frozen. Oh, there you go. Okay, there you go. Probably they're used to changing. Like I have a friend who was raised bilingual. So she is raising her child bilingual. And it amazes me to watch this whole thing happen. I've known her daughter since she was born. I've known this person for many, many years. And what she does, because it's how she was raised and she knows that it works, is that she only speaks French to her daughter. And her husband only speaks English to her. Right?
That's how you gotta do. I think,
and it works, but it's amazing to watch this little being know, like when I speak to mommy, I speak French. And when I speak to daddy, I speak English. And she can hold this whole conversation with both of them at the same time at the dinner table in multiple languages she can hear it and understand it and then say something in English to daddy. And it amazes me. She's only 3 years old and she's been doing it since she was a baby.
It's
but that's
that mental
how
flexibility.
And my friend was raised that way. So she's like, I know it works. So, my friend is multilingual. So like it works.
It's sort of similar.
Amazing.
It's sort of similar to bilingual classes that I have had the opportunity to observe. When I go to bilingual classes, the ones that I've observed anyway, they'll have, like, let's say the children speak Spanish at home and English is what they're learning. That's their newly acquired language. So they will have one day that's an English day and everything they do is going to be in English. And the next day, everything they do is going to be in Spanish. They alternate days. So English day, Spanish day, English day, Spanish day, English day, Spanish day.
Yeah.
So that, and when they come in the morning into school, their name tag where they indicate that they're in school today, if their name tag is in I don't know, green, it's Spanish day. If their name tag is in blue, it's an English day. So they have a visual cue to remind them. And everything they have up in their classroom is color coded that way with both languages.
That's cool.
It is very cool to watch. And I'm
cool.
really grateful I've had the opportunity to observe this. It's amazing because the kids, like you are a friend, the kids go in and out very easily. When I go in the room, their teacher tells them I walked in a Spanish day. I know enough Spanish from my 5 years of school Spanish to mostly understand what people are saying, but I can't converse in it. So I understood that the teacher told them, Cindy speaks English. While she's in the room, we will speak English so that we're not rude. And the kids, they are 3 and 4 years old in that class, and they instantly switch to English.
Right. Isn't
when
it
she tells them that.
And
then as I'm walking out, because it's a Spanish day, as I'm walking out, I'll hear the teacher say, okay, back to Spanish. And they go right back.
See, it's so amazing that they can do that.
I wish that we were all, in a lot of countries, children are raised bilingual. Period. The end. They're learning their country's primary language and English. This is just how it is in most of the world. And for some reason in our country, that's not a thing, that children are raised speaking 2 languages, but it is in a lot of other places. Most countries. I really wish that our kids did that. Not because I'm saying, oh my gosh, we shouldn't, have a primary language. Think what you want about that. I don't care. What we should have is the ability to teach this brain development. And I know that we've talked about this in the past. I know it. But I also think that there was something in that article, Alison, that caught my eye having to do with Alzheimer's.
Yes.
What did it say?
It said that if you are raised multilingual or bilingual, that when the benefits go all the way until your adulthood, and it will protect you from having Alzheimer's, or at the very least delay you from getting it, so by years, so like, that's amazing to me. And that's because if you are bilingual, your brain, it has strengthened all of those brain muscles, which will help in that fight against Alzheimer's. So you are basically fighting against that disease from the time you were an infant all the way up, because you're building your brain to be stronger.
I feel like we buried the headline. I feel like the Alzheimer's information is incredible. I would have never connected, but it must have to do with the strength of the connections in your brain and how they are connecting, how they are cross-connecting, I would imagine.
Yeah, I would
imagine. The neurological impulses. What an incredible gift to people who have Alzheimer's as part of their genetics, to give them a little more time. And to exercise the brain that way. What a wonderful thing. It helps you through your whole life.
Yeah, it's amazing.
So suffice it to say, when people come to me and say, how do you feel about children being raised equally in 2 languages? I'm all for it. I don't know why generations in the past weren't.
Yeah.
I think we just didn't understand.
Well, I don't think people do understand. I don't think they understand the benefits of it, or they think the benefits is like, oh yeah, they're smarter, but there actually is like brain development that they're getting that me as a monolingual person does not have. All right.
Totally.
Totally.
So,
yeah. Yeah.
We love that ship sailed, Allison.
Yep.
And why in the early childhood years do you want to do this, and not when they're 9, 10, 11? You know what we do in our culture? We get kids in middle school and go, hey, let's start to learn another language.
Let's do another language now. Too late.
You know why they can learn, but you know why it's too late to truly have a culture where children can switch between 2 languages and be bilingual? Because the brain is the windows in the brain that, you open them up and information comes in. And the windows in the brain for this are most wide open between the ages of birth and 3 years old.
3 years old. Yeah.
Birth and 3 is when you want to do the whole bilingual thing. The fact that we wait to speak 2 languages with kids until middle school is just some oddity.
It's really odd.
It's really odd.
Yeah.
Birth to 3 years old is when you want to be rapidly switching between the 2 languages, so that the children are getting this while the foundation and pathways in the brain for language are being developed and solidified in the architecture of the brain.
Yeah.
So there you go. And there you have it. I feel like we've said, and there you have it, folks.
There you go.
So if you are a bilingual family, you go forth and say, we are maintaining both languages equally, and my child is going to benefit for many, many, many years to come.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
And on that note, we're going to wish you hope, and go to the YouTube settings and try to figure that out. So we're wishing us hope too.
I give you hope for that.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. They don't always make it easy.
Yeah.
All right, folks, we will see you next time.
All right. Bye, peeps.
Bye.